listening to the Fours Up Podcast with your host, Marsh.
What up, Canes fans? It is the Fours Up Podcast. It is Monday, July 20th, and boy, do we have a special episode for you guys. I am joined now by my producer and co-host, Jordan Nelson. We got Derek Coe, and we also have a very, very special guest, former Miami linebacker. He played from 01 to 05, and it pains me to say this, but he was, as a Cowboy fan, he was drafted by the Washington Redskins. We got Rocky McIntosh on the line with us. Rocky, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you guys?
You know, we're doing pretty good. Derek, Jordan, how are you guys doing?
I'm living life, bro. I'm excited.
Yeah, same, man. Same. This is it's gonna be a big show, so I'm pretty pumped.
Absolutely. Rocky, how you doing with all this Corona thing going on? How are you adjusting to this?
I'm good. Besides my kids, I got 4, 2 boys, 2 girls, ranging from 5 to 12. So they stay pretty busy, pretty active. I like to get outside. I'm outside with one of them right now. So besides that, I work remote, so I'm good.
Rocky, you got them kids on that Swayze program yet, or what are you doing?
Oh, hell yeah. Every day we doing something active, because other than that, they're just going to keep all that energy bottled in. So
Let me ask you a quick question, though. You always hear from a lot of the former players talking about the Swayze program. What exactly did Swayze do, or what exactly is that Swayze program that we hear a lot of people talk about? I
can sum it up in one word, and that's compete, man. Every day is a competition. Not only against the guys that was there, but against yourself. Because every day you had to bring it, man. There was no days off. Every morning you had to bring it, or, back when we were playing, the teammates would get on you. So if you ain't putting out, and it's just a workout, you ain't putting out, something might happen to you in the locker room.
What?
So Rocky, you were coming out of high school from South Carolina, and what made you want to come to Miami as a recruit? What drew you to the University of Miami?
I don't know. I don't know if I wanted to go. See, I wanted to go to Clemson, but they weren't ringing bells like they are now. But it came to find out, I opened that my recruiting back up, and Miami was right there on the list, man. I came down there on a visit, and on my visit, it was Frank, Roscoe. One of my hosts was what's my name? Gosh, I can't even remember. He was in the league, but he took us out and everything like that. So it was so much fun that I could not come.
Okay. Hey, whatever it is, we were glad that you were a Hurricane. So you redshirted during the 2001 national championship season, and then in 2002, I read that you started 6 games as a redshirt freshman. What was it like playing linebacker next to guys like Jonathan Vilma and DJ Williams? What was that competition like, and what was it, being surrounded by, future NFL guys like that?
I was great, and the guy that I was out with was Bubba Frank, so I didn't want to.
Bubba.
Yo, cheese.
Bubba had that cheese. It was great, man. When I seen the roster, I was like, I'm looking at the roster. It was like, where can I slide me in a little spot? But man, it was stacked. You had DJ, who's fucking all-world high school player. John, smart as crap, just make plays, and then they were deep after that too. With rest in power, my boy CC, Chris Campbell. He was there. So like I said,
but even so, you had Leon Williams, you had John Beeson, you had straight dogs out there. My boy T Good, like you had dogs that were playing right beside you.
It was crazy, man, because I'm telling you, if you didn't put out, man, we always try to beat each other. So whether it was running, tackles, in the film room, and we had some great defensive coordinator, Randy Shannon, was just teaching us the game, maturing us. We all grew up together. So even though we were from different cities, man, it was just like home being around all those guys.
So Rocky, I have a question for you. So you were around the program when it was at the height of its power, and you hear all the time that these great NFL teams or great college football programs, they have, a great team culture behind it. How important is the word culture and what that means to a successful football program? Because we've seen Miami struggle, in the past 10, 15 years, and a lot of that has to do with, the lack of a winning culture and just that togetherness. How important is culture to a successful football team?
Oh, a lot of emphasis is put on a lot of these coaches, and as you know, like their, shelf life gets shorter and shorter every year because just the pressures out there. So I think it's a player's game. It's those seniors that's in the locker room just really getting everybody on board and making sure people are going hard, going to school. 'Cause you can't forget about that. You ain't got the grades, then you're not gonna be able to play to catch up with you. So we had a very, very strong senior class. And I mean, there was the fun times, bad times. I remember I was a freshman. They hazed me a little bit here and there, but it just brought us together, man. And it was a fun experience, and we got to give ours back when we became seniors too. So just that great leadership in the locker room will take you a long way.
Well, so Rocky, I got a question for you, piggybacking off of what Marsh just said. So you were on the team in 2001 and 2002 when we had, arguably some of the best squads that the school's ever produced. And then, by the end of your Miami Hurricanes career, it seemed like we were on the downslope into this, this 20-year rut that we've kind of had as a program. So my question to you is was there anything noticeably different between like the 2002 squad and the 2005 squad from your perspective, or did it feel the same?
I don't know. It was time to get paid, man. Everybody's out there balling, man. It's time to go to the league. So we just had a lot of guys just leaving. It was hard to, replenish that talent, right? So, and really mature that talent. So we had guys in there. Frank, he paid his dues. Like everybody in there paid their dues and waited their turn. And when it was time to go, it's time to go. So I think that that talent pool just hit us a little bit too hard. But, all great empires have to, they end and just have to reboot, start again.
Well, that your senior class, if you up to juniors that left early, Sean, Kellen, Vince, like, do you think those guys coming back that extra year, do you think that would have done justice for the 05 season? I mean, obviously we weren't bad in 05. We had the opening loss to Florida State, and then we had the bad loss to Georgia Tech, and then obviously the Peach Bowl against LSU. Do you think deep down those extra guys that left early would have made that 05 team? I mean, obviously I think it would have made it that much stronger, but do you think we would have maybe had those 3 losses that year, or what's your take on losing those high caliber juniors going to the league?
Yeah, man, it was tough, man, because those guys accounted for a lot of big bucks, what they eventually got, going to the league. So I can't fault them for that. But just having them on the team, there's no way we couldn't just run the board on people again, man. Just, straight flushes, straight Boston, whatever you want to call it, man. Nobody could stop us.
Right. Rocky, what your time in Miami? Can you name your top 3 games that you played in at UM and why they would be your top 3?
I don't know. I just every memorable moment in the OB, man. Definitely, I cherish every last one of those games and seeing all those fans, the hot weather, those 12 o'clock games, man.
Love it. High noon in the OB.
High noon, baby. High noon.
Really love it, man. And just being in that neighborhood, walking out of the stadium, and like we here, man. We doing it for the city and winning these games and really just what they call put on for the city. That's what
you already know that, right? You already know about that.
Yeah.
Sure. So Rocky, when you were at Miami, the Miami-Florida State rivalry was perhaps the biggest in college football. And it's taken a little bit, downwards the past few years. But when you were at Miami, What did that rivalry really mean to you, and how did players approach that? Like, what was Florida State week like as a football player when you were at the University of Miami?
It was crazy, man, because you come from a high school atmosphere where you got your little town rivals and whatnot. But when we got there, it was just like, man, the
Whoa.
energy level just raised. I mean, you couldn't go a couple plays without having to get a sub because you were going so hard. The adrenaline's rushing so much. You really at that point didn't know how to control that breathing. And those Florida games, memorable moments. Oh man, all that rain up there. The Florida game where we came back with Brock. It was just crazy. And then Devin just running kicks back. It was
So
nuts,
you were
man.
there for memorable games. I mean, honestly, like you just mentioned memorable games. The 0-2 comeback against Florida. I'm sorry, the 0-3 comeback against Florida. The rain game, like Sean was just a whole different animal. I mean, you just like memorable games, Gosh, I wish we can go back to those times.
Oh man, it's crazy, man. And then everyone recognizes those because at the beginning of the college football season, we always see little clips in there, those games, and it was just incredible. And Sean, it was just awesome, and I'm glad, I got to play with a lot of those guys up here, and it just continued from there, man.
So I wanted to ask you this. So you played with Sean Taylor in college and then in the pros when you went to the Redskins. Talk about Sean Taylor as not just a football player, but as a person, because you hear all these stories. I mean, I grew up watching him. He was one of the most incredible players I've ever seen. But I've heard so many stories of him just as an incredible person. Talk about Sean Taylor, both as a player, but also as just a human being.
It was crazy, man. Believe it or not, man, me and Sean, like, super close. So, like, we stayed in the same apartment complex. Sean was local, so he had all the toys to play with. He had like a little four-wheeler and a motorcycle, so he would let me ride. I mean, anytime you needed a ride, he had a vehicle, so giving us rides to workouts. And then it just continued when he was up here. I'll be working out, say like at a 10 o'clock class. He'd be working out at 9. He'd be like, "Hey man, you want me to work out with you again?" I'm like, "Again? This is summer NFL workouts, and you already put in. You gonna do it again?" He's like, "Yeah, man, no, whatever." And he went ahead and did it, man. It couldn't be me, but that was just him. He just go hard every time, man.
But the results were inevitable. Again, he put the work on, he put the work in off the field to make him what he was on the field. And I think that also translated with a lot of players from the late 90s into the mid 2000s. You hear all this time about it wasn't the coaches out there coaching us. It was us coaching us. It was the leaders, like the seniors out there running practices and holding the underclassmen accountable for mistakes and different things like that. Is that what you remember as well? Like, how much did the upperclassmen, as you were going through the transition from, a redshirt to a freshman to a sophomore, how much of those upperclassmen hold you guys accountable out on the practice field?
Man, it's crazy, man, because like when you get in the league, it's all business, right? So your coach says you make a play, you better make a play, or you get sent home eventually. But like in college, you sit down there and the boys say you better make a play, stop messing up. You go. At least what we experienced, you gonna step up, man, because we didn't want, quote unquote, any punks out there. We all stood as one, so we couldn't have any chinks in our armor. So that's the way we train each other, and that's the way we rode. And every man in that locker room rose to the occasion.
So that brotherhood, I'm sorry, Marsh, that brotherhood, like literally ran deep out on that practice field. Like literally, that was your brother. If I made a mistake, my brother's gonna whoop my ass, quote unquote. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, man, it was just like a family. And the funny thing is, man, we went just as hard when we got to the league. I mean, I seen Shockey light Sean up when we were playing the Giants. I mean, they were going back and forth. They didn't worry about anything else on the field. They were just going to knock each other out each and every play. And it was nuts, man. And, I did it the same way. Some of those guys are like, "Rocky, man, what you doing, man?" And it's like, "Nah, man, we going hard." So it started sooner from, in warm-ups. We talking trash. And that's what we do, too. That's what distinguishes us